Welcome back, Fantasy Endgame fam, Fantasy Endgame baseball players. It is Wednesday. It is your midweek. Get you caught up. Get you ready for the rest of the week. Live stream with myself and Pierre. Pierre, how you doing? How you feeling?
Feeling good. Feeling pretty good these days. I mean, hey, it's almost summer, almost June, which is hard to believe, but summer is undoubtedly the best of the four seasons. I mean, I don't think anybody can dispute that. So the weather's good, and if you're a teacher, then of course summer's your favorite. But also because there's nothing but baseball to focus on. Just lots of baseball every day.
Nothing but baseball. And you always hear if you play fantasy baseball and your hitters struggling, wait till the weather warms up. Wait till the weather warms up. So this is do or die time. And speaking of wait till the weather warms up, I see you got that Mets hat over your left shoulder. Is this
Yep.
what Juan Soto needs? Does he need the weather to warm up? Juan Soto, your first round fantasy stud with another 0 for 4 today with a strikeout. That now gives him a nice 42 strikeouts on the season and batting a cool 224, 8 home runs. He's actually got more strikeouts. Well, I guess he's got slightly more runs and RBIs combined than strikeouts, but not a lot more. So, Juan Soto, and apparently he's unhappy with the Mets. I don't know. Are we buying low? What about like Ryan? This is a good segue to Ryan, who said he offered Jung Ho Lee and Brenton Doyle for Juan Soto, and it was denied. If you have Juan Soto, are you getting rid? Are you bailing ship? Are you buying low on Juan Soto? Should we feel about Juan Soto right
Well, anyone who watched the video that came out already today, and I think if it is at all possible to buy low on the highest paid and biggest name player, and potentially I can't say the best because Shohei Ohtani exists, but one of the best hitters in the past decade, I think you could. I mean, people tend to maybe overreact a little bit, get caught up in things. And even though I would hope most of y'all don't read like the New York Post and like all those gossip magazines, but if you believe that he's unhappy or he regrets signing with the Mets or just he's cursed because he went from the Yankees to the Mets and all that garbage, I mean, I don't. I look at the numbers, right? I try to look at numbers, not narratives. And I think you might be able to buy low from somebody who's panicked. People want production. They might think, yeah, it's not his year. And I will say this again. I was worried about him being a first round value in fantasy. And so far he hasn't been. But I think he'll be fine. He'll definitely get better. Like there's no doubt about that. Last year he was great from the out of the gate with the Yankees. But the year before that, and there's been a couple times where April was not his best month, or he was a little bit slow. So he's not one of those guys you can say, oh, he's a slow starter. Because usually he's just, he's never slow. But I'll be patient. I think he'll be okay. You might have a buy low window. But again, buy low for a guy like Soto is not going to be like bargain, bargain basement prices. So you're still going to have to give up really good players to get Soto.
Yeah, probably still gonna have to give it really good players. And speaking of really good players, let's talk about some pitchers. Spencer Strider, remember he returned April 16th against Blue Jays, looked great. 5 innings, struck out 5, gave up 2 earned runs. Then he got rocked by the lowly Nationals. Now he did face the Phillies yesterday, which is a tough lineup, and he only gave up 1 earned run, but of course only 4 2/3 innings, but he did strike out 7. So is there I don't even have to ask you because if you haven't seen the buy low video, he's on there. But is this a buy low opportunity for Spencer Strider?
This is the time, and I, like to hold off because obviously 2 starts, could change very quickly as one good start. So I wanted to wait and see. I was really curious, and I didn't watch the whole game. I watched bits, to see how Strider would look. And I mean, he didn't look exactly like himself. Obviously, he was throwing a lot of balls and didn't last very long. I'm chalking it up more to just, knocking the rust off and getting back into game shape because he was about to do that. Then he had the hamstring injury. And now he's kind of resetting again. It's going to take some time. And yeah, the velocity isn't all the way back yet either. But I do think that he will be fine. And yeah, there's a buy low window because I think it was a week ago. People were saying, should I worry? Should I drop Spencer Strider? Should I whatever? There's a chance here, buying opportunity. Now, I can't say there is no risk because I am not 100% going to guarantee that we're going to get, the best version of Spencer Strider. But again, if what you're giving up isn't too significant, as I said, like 80% of Spencer Strider is still better than a lot of pitchers out there.
That is true. That is true. All right, let's go from the new to the old. Clayton Kershaw, who I know we've gotten a lot of questions about. You've made your feelings known, but have your feelings changed after a not too bad performance this morning against the Guardians? 5 innings pitched, only 1 earned run. Now, he did give up 6 hits and did only strike out 3, but this has brought his ERA all the way down to 4.91 on the season. Are you buying into Clayton Kershaw now, or are you still out?
He looks like he might be usable, but again, here's the thing. You look at the fact that, okay, he went 5 innings. That was my main worry, is how long is he going to go to games? 5 innings, and that's probably best case. I don't think he's going to stretch much longer than that, and that's when he's on top of his game. Like you said, he only gave up 1 run, but only 3 strikeouts. That's not Clayton Kershaw, right? So there's no way we're getting close to vintage Kershaw. Of course, nobody expects that, but I still think it's like barely somewhat usable Clayton Kershaw. So no, I don't want to be a downer here, but I'm not in on Kershaw. I'll let somebody else take those risks, because I feel like always we're going to be 1 pitch away from seeing him pull something else. I just feel the same with him as I do about Mike Trout. I just don't want to deal with it.
Makes sense. Totally understandable. Are you in on another old pitcher? Not quite as old as Kershaw, though. Lance McCullers Jr. of the Astros made his season debut on May 4th against the White Sox and pitched 3 2/3 scoreless innings. Then I streamed him against the Reds, and he pitched 1/3 of an inning and got rocked for 7 runs and was the worst stream of the year by far. But since then, 0 earned runs against the Rangers, 2 earned runs against the Mariners, and today, 6 innings, 3 earned runs, and 12 strikeouts, which now gives him 20 strikeouts over his last 2 games. Are you buying into Lance McCullers?
So this might be a case where I have to at least keep my thought process a little more open-minded, because I also just like, I don't care to spend any brain cells thinking about Lance McCullers, right? Guy cannot stay healthy for more than like 2 starts at a time. But yeah, when a guy strikes out, was it 12 today? I mean, you've definitely got to take notice. He's always had strikeout stuff. That's never been the question. I mean, the stuff has never been the question at all. But again, the fact that he not only got the strikeouts, he's been getting strikeouts, 26 and 18 innings so far this year, but he went 6 innings. They let him face 24 batters. I mean, maybe we need to consider picking up Lance McCullers and just take what we can get from him. You know what I mean? Like I said, at this point in the season, you're probably not finding any future all-stars or league winners on the waiver wire. You're hoping for solid streams, guys with upside. And if you can get a couple of good weeks out of him, it's worth it if you're not dropping anybody significant for him. So, yeah, I think I'll look a little harder at the schedule here with McCullers, but yeah, I think I'm going to have to change my thinking about him.
And sadly, the Astros may need Lance McCullers more than they even wanted to, because Ronel Blanco, Tommy John surgery, which is very sad because he had been a rock for my pitching staff this year. One of those late round guys who, he struggled early in the year, but he's been great down the stretch. Ronel Blanco done for the season. You can cut ties with Ronel Blanco. What does this mean for Ronel Blanco, though, going into 2025 or 2026? I guess we're in 2025, 2026.
Yeah, nothing guaranteed. Because by then they'll have other pitchers potentially back. I mean, there's a lot of pitching staffs that are decimated by injuries, right? That describes half the league. But the Astros, you feel like just hits them extra hard early in the season. So it's really lucky for them that McCullers doing what he's doing. Blanco out for the season. Wisniewski just announced also Tommy John out for the season. So yeah, I mean, Blanco was fringe anyways, coming back, and he's despite the fact he doesn't have a lot of experience, like last year was his breakout year, he's not a young pitcher. In fact, I think he's getting close to 30 already. So
he's 31.
31. Oh, there you go. So Yeah, I think we can probably write him off for drafts next year, Wisniewski too, because we're going to look at May, June before he even comes back.
All right, pour one out for Blanco. But now, get ready. It's time to get your questions answered. But first, let me remind you, if you haven't tried Underdog Fantasy, this is a great time to do it because they have Major League Baseball picks every day of the season. In fact, we got to switch this banner. We got an NFL banner rolling around because we just did an NFL stream. We got the MLB banner rolling down there. They got the MLB picks every day of the season. They even have picks during the All-Star weekend, like Home Run Derby. They have it for everything. So if you want to get your fantasy baseball fix on a different way, this is a great way to do it. Go to underdogfantasy.com, sign up using promo code NGAME, because that will get you a free pick that you can use right away to get a win and get your feet wet in those pick'ems, plus up to $1,000 in bonus cash. And I also need to remind you, or I guess not remind you, let you know, if you like the NBA and you want to try NBA pick'ems, they have the extender going on right now. So the way it works, basically, it's only going to be for the NBA Finals at this point. But once the NBA Finals start, you can do a pick'em for game one. And then every game the series goes, you see it down there at the bottom. It starts with a 40% boost. So your entry fee, your winnings get boosted 40%. And if it goes to game 7, you're going to get a 100% boost on your winning pick. So check that out. Underdog Fantasy, always doing great stuff like this. A ton of fun on there. If you haven't tried it yet, I don't know why, because we talk about it all the time. You definitely need to. All right, now to your questions. Of course, I got to remind you about that. If you are impatient or you want to say thanks for all the hard work, you can drop that super chat. That will get you to the front of the line. That is kind of like your fast pass. You drop the super chat, we answer your question right away. It's not necessary. We're going to be on here for about 45-ish more minutes, answering as many questions as we can. But if you're impatient, that's a good way to get to the front. All right, Pierre, are you ready to do it on this Wednesday?
Always ready to talk baseball.
All right, here we go. Harry Grossman. What's up, Harry? Someone dropped Santander, who I dropped about a week ago, and Reynolds in his 12-team Roto League. Would you drop Newt Bar for either of them or say, nah, I'm good?
I've been saying you can drop Santander since early April. And Reynolds, I've been pretty cold on Reynolds for like the past 3-4 years. Yeah, I'm just holding Newt Bar. Just give me the guy who's producing.
All right, stick with Newt Bar. And then Doyle, let's test your Jordan Romano hate. He has both Ryan Walker and Camilo Duvall. Would you drop either of them if Devin Williams and Jordan Romano, who picked up another impressive save yesterday, are both available on waivers?
But also with Romano, and I know he's still the guy, but before that, his previous one, he did blow a save, give up 3 runs in 1 inning. So I don't know. It's still there. No, that was his first, right? Okay, whatever. So look, this kind of comes down to what you're prioritizing. The really annoying thing, as you know, obviously you know this, Doyle, with San Francisco, is that Duvall has been by far the better reliever, but Walker's getting the saves. And they just keep rolling him out there. Like, he'll give up a run, he'll blow a save, and they just keep rolling him out there. He's getting the saves. I'm sticking with Duvall because there's got to come a point where if Walker continues to give it up, they'll put Duvall there. I mean, maybe not, but of course you never know. But give me the guy who's not hurting me in ERA, right? At least he's helping you. He's just been the better pitcher. So I'm keeping Duvall. I mean, Devin Williams is not getting saves right now, but he's the best pitcher out of all of these, just talent-wise. So if I had to pick 3, I would go Duvall, Williams, and Romano. I would drop Walker.
Duvall, Williams, okay. So you at least put Romano over Walker.
Yes, Walker is the one I would drop.
Begrudgingly. Okay. All right.
Kind of.
So let it be known you don't 100% hate Jordan Romano.
Be ready to drop Romano. Like, just have like your finger on the trigger. Like, you're ready.
Anytime he comes walking out there in the 9th inning, okay, this could be it.
Exactly.
Although, like you said, what was encouraging was he did get lit up the other game, but they don't really have a choice.
Well,
they have to put him back out there.
For now, But, the trade deadline isn't that far away. Just
Well,
saying.
true. That is true. All right, Keith. What's up, Keith? He's got a couple questions. First question: he's worried Ben Rice's playing time is going to drop even more. Would you package him and William Contreras together for another first baseman? And if so, do you have any fair recommendations?
Yeah, I hear that. I'm still a fan of Rice, but again, the situation he's in, if he was on a different team, he could just be out there every day and work through it. But yeah, I mean, the Yankees don't have to wait, right? So yeah, he could lose some playing time, and especially he sits ready sometimes against lefties. I talked about doing this and trading Contreras a couple of weeks ago, so I like this strategy. Absolutely, I would do this now. What could you realistically get that's fair for this? With Rice and Contreras, I mean, obviously you're not getting a Pete Alonso or Freddie Freeman or even a Bryce Harper. I still think you could get Cody Bellinger and put him at first base, and I still think that's fair. I mean, his numbers aren't great; they're solid overall, but I think you could possibly do that. I mean, you're probably no, I know. I don't think you're getting Vlad. He's been sort of disappointing, but still, I doubt that. Uh, Josh Naylor might be kind of a solid, fair option. I know for Contreras, you might expect more, but Contreras has not been great. I wouldn't go any lower than that. But realistically, I mean, you could try for a Vlad, but I don't think you're going to get him. And like as far as Matt Olson, I wouldn't do that. So those are probably at first base specifically the only options I think that might work.
All right. Then he wants to know he's got a crowded outfield: Tucker, Duran, Alvarez, Buxton, Stowers, and Hayes. When all these guys, he says he wants first baseman. We already talked about that. So when all these guys are healthy, I mean, what does he do? You can't have all these guys on your team, right? Like, I mean, you're just gonna have all these guys sitting on your bench.
I mean, you can't have the first three on your bench. I'm gonna still try to flip Buxton. I would do that. I still like Stowers. I mean, yeah, you're gonna have to keep trying to work the trade market here, do some 2-for-1s. Buxton's the one I'm trading. I'm not trading Tucker or Alvarez. I mean, Duran maybe, but again, it depends. What are you getting? And if you put Duran plus a Buxton or one of these other players, then yeah, maybe you can get an Alonso type.
All right, there you go. Thanks for the questions, Keith. And then Doyle has another one. Would you drop Arenado for Alec Baum? And is it time to drop Max Mayer? Saying Ryan Weathers still available in his 10-team category.
Yeah, it's time. Max Meyer, Sandy Alcantara. Again, this isn't my teal colored goggles, just wanting them to be good. Max Meyer was great the first couple of starts. He's a high end prospect, great stuff. He's struggling and he's not turning it around. So you in a 10 team, you can definitely drop him. Ryan Weathers is worth picking up. I think he's still solid. Arenado for Baum, yeah, give me Baum rest of the season.
All right. And then Andrea just saying hi. What's up, Andrea?
Andrea.
All right. Alejandro said he just made a trade. Trent Grisham and Javier Baez for Nick Pivetta. Who won that deal?
If you got Pivetta, you won the deal. Grisham, I mean, he was a sell while you can. That was like 2 weeks ago. The fact that you still got something for him, well done. And Baez, I mean, what was it? 1 good week, if even. I won't go so far as to say it was a fleece because Pivetta isn't quite like an ace, but man, great move.
All right, well done. And speaking of 1 good week, I feel like Tyler Soderstrom had 9 home runs the first week of the season, and he's had like 1 since. Is it time to just move on? Is it time to just drop him and say, okay, that was fun while it lasted?
No, I still like Soderstrom. It's interesting because sometimes when a player gets off to such a slow start, we focus on that. You're like, oh, this guy's going to be terrible this year. No, he had his bad stretch early. And then conversely, when a guy is super hot the first couple of weeks, as soon as he cools down, which of course he's going to cool down, then we're like, it was just a fluke. It was a mirage. No, he's still a good power hitter. He's still in a good spot in the lineup. It's a pretty good offense overall. So no, I'm gonna keep Soderstrom. I'm gonna hold on here. He'll get back to hitting home runs.
All right. Don't drop him yet. Maybe just bench him until he starts heating up again. All right, Ryan, what's up? Always here. He wants to know, are you trading Yordan Alvarez batting a nice 210 on the season with a whopping 3 home runs? Or are you still holding out hope?
I get it, but the reverse. If I don't have Alvarez, if someone's thinking like you're thinking here, which is why I talked about him, and this was before he went on the IL. It's been a couple of weeks, but what has changed? Nothing, right? In fact, if I remember, because I was in New York at the time, that's when I was talking about Yordan Alvarez. He had just gotten hurt. Well, what do we know about Yordan Alvarez? Every year he has an IL stint, at least a couple of weeks, and then he comes back and he just mashes it. He will be fine. I'm buying low. I'm not selling. Now, I mean, if you can get another superstar like Juan Soto, okay, fine, but probably not.
All right. Speaking of Juan Soto, BZ asking, would Wyatt Langford and Kevin Gausman or Jack Flaherty for Juan Soto? Would you do that? Would you take, I guess, Juan Soto here? He's got Alonso and Lindor already too, so he would be Team New York Mets.
Yeah, which is a pretty good team to be all in on. Yeah, would I do this to get Soto? Yes, I would do this. I believe in Wyatt Langford for the most part. He's not Juan Soto, and he's not going to be this year. And Wyatt Langford, the batting average is still not that great. He's going to steal more bases than Soto, sure. Maybe he hits more home runs than Soto. But there's a huge gap in the batting average. There's going to be. I know there's not now, but I think there's going to be. And all told, give me Soto rest of the season. So, yeah, I think this is fair but doable. Now, if I had to pick between Gausman or Flaherty, the one I'd rather trade, it's close, but I guess I would trade Flaherty.
All right, go get Soto, BZ. All right, Doyle with another one. He wants to know how you feel about this trade. Traded Nico Horner, Christopher Sanchez, and Clay Holmes for Ketel Marte, Kevin Gausman, and Casey Mize. Did he win that trade?
Ooh. Okay, so give me Marte over Horner for sure. Sanchez, Gausman is pretty comparable. It's very similar type of pitchers. Gausman is a little more up and down, but in the end, similar numbers. Mize and Holmes. Yeah, I think the pitching is close. I think just because Marte over Horner, I think it's a win. Yeah.
All right. Are you ready for President Raikau? How's it going? What's up? Yes, hope you're having a great day as well. Would you trade Yamamoto and Bubic for Max Fried? Dude said he won't trade Fried unless he gets Yamamoto. Isn't Yamamoto like one of the best pitchers in baseball?
He is, and I get why this guy's saying this. Yamamoto, Fried. I mean, if you're doing this, you're also giving up another great pitcher. I mean, he's been great this year. I mean, you're not getting an advantage here. No, I wouldn't do this. I mean, if you're trading Yamamoto and Bubic, I mean, Paul Skeens, that's probably what it should get you. Maybe not Tariq Skubal, because probably nobody's trading Tariq Skubal, but probably any other pitcher outside of that. And Yamamoto has been amazing. So, I mean, Zach Wheeler, maybe Crochet. Yeah, it would have to be somebody. No, I wouldn't do this.
All right, don't do that. Even I know not to do that. All right, Uwe2K, what's up? Would you drop memories in a shallow league here? So would you drop any of Victor Scott, Dansby Swanson, or Jake Burgermeister for Zach Nieto, Miguel Vargas, or Austin Hayes in a categories league?
I need to come around on Miguel Vargas. Dude just will not stop hitting. So in your league, yeah, give me Neto. I mean, he's just been great. I just like Neto better than Swanson anyways. Right. Drop any of Victor's. I mean, look, the difference between Scott and Hayes for outfield is do you want speed or power? So it depends what you need help with as far as categories. So that's what it comes down to. Burgers, been okay, but he's not exactly like binging. You know what I mean? Like he's definitely been better. Like he's at least playing like a major leaguer. But I think you can just take Vargas while he's hot.
All right. There you go. Thank you, Uwe. And then Doyle with another one. Is it time to drop Zach Galen? Or can he bounce back?
Question last week. He was on the keep trade cut, and the answer was still cut.
All right. Goodbye, Zach. All right. Yeet. Who do you think will have the higher upside for a points league when they come back? Woodruff, Yuri Perez, or is that Luis Gil?
Luis Gil, yeah. All right.
All
the
that
injured
name in a
players.
while.
So this is funny that you mentioned this. I'm going to throw out a little extra bonus video on some injured players to stash. Now, I actually find it interesting because, realistically, you got to have players who are available, right? Like less than half owned. So like Shane McClanahan, who knows when he's coming back, but, you can't stash him because he's like 80-something% owned. Like he's not out there. People stash him on IL. Zach, I was surprised. Brandon Woodruff is like 65% owned. Like that many people drafted him and just kept him on IL. I'm not that high on Brandon Woodruff. I mean, he was good maybe a few years ago, but I'm not sure what we're expecting here. So and he just had a setback too. And I'm all sorts of worried about Woodruff. So I'm going to go for the upside of Perez. I mean, he's the most talented of the pitchers here. Sure, there are concerns about innings limits, but there's concerns about all these guys. I mean, that's the risk here. They're all injured. Just give me Yuri.
All right. Take Yuri Perez. And then another one, closer talk from Uwe2K. Are you dropping Tanner Scott? Well, I guess Uribe is not really a closer, right? Isn't he like more like the 8th inning guy? Yeah. Anyways, would you drop Tanner Scott for Uribe? He's got this Klaus hater and Weaver.
Yeah. All right. In your league, again, to clarify for everyone else, this is like an 8-team league. So if it's a save and hold league and it's that shallow, then yes, you can do this because Uribe has been great and he's got like 15 holds this season. So in your case, yes.
All right, do that. All right, Gabe, going back to Juan Soto. A lot of Juan Soto chat. All right, if he was going to send Taylor Ward and one of these pitchers for Juan Soto, which one should it be? Carlos Rodon, Dylan Cease, Christopher Sanchez, Warren. How come I can't remember Warren's first name? Michael Liberatore or Max Mayer?
To try to
Will
trade.
Warren. That's Will Warren. Come on, it's my boy, Will Warren.
Will Warren,
Strikeout King. Strikeout King.
Okay. So if you're actually going to get Juan Soto, those last 4 aren't going to do it. It would have to be Rodon or Cease. Realistically, probably Cease. But I would try Rodon first. I think if you do Rodon and Ward, it's not insulting. It's I think it's fair, and I think I would still be happy to get Soto there. I would do Cease and Ward if you if this is your entire pitching staff. Maybe I guess that's fine. If you really need the help on offense, if you want Soto, I think it's fair. I would try Rodon and Ward.
All right, there you go. Good luck, Gabe. And then let's say hi to Kelsey. Hi. Kelsey is new to fantasy. Wants to know, what do we recommend? Well, I'll say recommend watching all the fantasy endgame videos on this channel, subscribing, hit that notification. But most of all, what I would recommend is being on here with the live streams where you can actually get your questions answered. Because the videos, for as great as they are not going to cover every question you have about your team, of course, because that's impossible. So be on here for the live streams as well, but check out the videos. Anything else you recommend to somebody new to fantasy baseball?
Yeah. Absolutely. I'm looking at Kelsey's other questions. They're all very interesting and not necessarily baseball related. Yeah, I mean, I'm not sure exactly what you're looking for as far as recommendations, but just it's a daily game. You've got to keep on top of things. It's hard because things change so fast, but that's it. Just follow the news and, don't get too carried away with what everyone else is doing. Look at the numbers, don't follow the headlines. That's all I would say.
There you go. All right. And yeah, be here to ask questions. All right. Uwe 2K, another one. Are we picking Augustin Ramirez back up?
In your league, I mean, it's an 18 league. Probably there's a catcher that has more upside.
All right. Yeah, I see Kelsey's article. We're not putting that one up. What? All right. Let's try to stick to baseball questions. Favorite actress? Favorite actress? I don't have a favorite actor. Favorite actress? What? Come on, Kelsey. Come on. What are we even doing here? All right. Alyssa Dolphin Cloud. What's up?
Welcome back.
By the way, do you think her last name really is Dolphin Cloud, or does she do that? Do you think to try to sweeten you up because she knows you're a Dolphins fan?
Well, I don't know if that would be a legal name that I've seen before, but I don't care. I love it, and it worked. So yeah.
Exactly, it works. All right, what's up? Thank you for calling us, gentlemen. She picked up Weathers for Logan Henderson because he just got sent back down. Would you grab Bailey Ober off of waivers? Bailey Ober just chilling out there on waivers. But she's gonna have to. But apparently, she's gonna have to drop Weathers to get him.
Yeah, Bailey Ober shouldn't be on waivers. Not sure why he is. I like Weathers, but yeah, Ober is the pickup here.
All right, and then Jeff, speaking of Logan Henderson, just sent down. Is this just till his next start, or is this like, is he done for a while?
Yeah, that's the thing. I hate this. I mean, there's so many things wrong with the whole call up and option thing. But anyways, no, because they're getting healthy again, and Brandon Woodruff was supposed to be back, but again, he had a little setback. He'll come back to the rotation at some point, maybe. But Jose Quintana is not far from coming back. They just got DL Hall, who's not going to be a starter, but long relief. But they're getting pieces back in the rotation. So despite the fact that Logan Henderson has been one of their best pitchers, they're like, no, just you go back to AAA and we'll use you later. So I think you can drop him. Of course, pitchers can always get hurt again, especially in Milwaukee. But if you can't afford to stash him in the IL, like you said, I don't think he's coming back real soon.
All right. And then Josh wants to know, who would someone have to give up to get Marcell Ozuna?
To get Ozuna? Well, I mean, if you're talking the same position, it's always hard, when you talk about who to give up, because a lot of times if you're trying to get a player like to help your outfield, you don't necessarily want to give up an outfielder, you know what I mean, or a power bat for a power bat. You'd have to give up a good player still, not necessarily an elite player. I think, someone comparable to him would be like a Lawrence Butler. But you're probably looking at different positions. So if you have a more specific player in mind, I mean, that would help. Like who do you have on your roster that you're willing to give up?
All right, give us some options. All right, President Raikou dropping the super chat. Thank you, appreciate that. He says he's got DeGrom, Schwellenbach, Bassett, Rodon, Schmidt, Noah Cameron, Reese Olson, Yamamoto, Bubic, and Will Warren. So, out of these guys, what would be fair for Max Fried?
All right, good question. What would be fair? I mean, look, Max Fried has been great. So what would be fair would be Yamamoto straight up, but there's no point doing that, right? What's the point? You're not gaining anything there. If somebody who has Fried, but like you already said, he wants Yamamoto. So the only reason you might do this if you can do a 2-for-1, right? Give up a Bubic plus I feel like Bubic and Schwellenbach even. I think that would be fair. I think that's fine. Like if you can do Schwellenbach and Bubic, I think that's fine. If you're worried about DeGrom staying healthy, but again, it would have to be a straight up 1-for-1. I don't know if he would do that, but I'm not giving up Yamamoto. So try to package 2 of these pitchers if you can, but don't make one of them Yamamoto.
All right. Thank you for the super chat. Thank you for being on here. Appreciate it. All right, back to Uwe 2K. Okay, would you drop Victor Scott for Chandler Simpson?
pretty similar players. I mean, look, you're speed for speed. So, I don't know. It's kind of a lateral move here. I have Simpson in one league, in our league. And I play him sometimes when I need steals. So, sure, you could do this.
Interesting. Never even thought of that. Play somebody when you need steals. Although I don't really get steals, even though I'm supposed to have the stolen base god. Although he did hit 2 home runs yesterday, so I can't complain about him for right now.
He's doing all right.
He's doing okay, but man, I would be happy if he gave me 35 home runs this year. I'll take that over the steals, but I drafted this guy to win steals every week. All right, Frank Ramirez wants to know, would you drop Geraldo Perdomo or Tyler Soderstrom? I assume he's got to drop one of these guys for some reason.
I mean, that's tough. Both have been really good. If position isn't an issue here, like it doesn't matter, these guys are just your bench players. I think right now I would drop Soderstrom because he is kind of in a funk, and I think you got a better chance of picking him back up if he starts to heat up.
All right, and I missed this one, but I want to make sure we get it up here. Sorry about that. Spaceman BL says he listens and reads a lot of current fantasy baseball, but it's hard to find any info on Willy Adames. Again, this is why I say you want to be out here on the live streams and asking questions, because we can't cover. No fantasy outlet can cover every player, right? It's impossible. There's too many, especially in baseball. There's like a million dudes. So, is Willy Adames a hold in a 12-team redraft league?
It's tough to drop him, but also tough to keep playing him because he's not helping you. I called him a cut a couple weeks ago. The same time I talked about Zach Gallen, same time I talked about Marcus Semien, talked about Willy Adames, and it's been a couple weeks and absolutely nothing has improved for any of those guys. Now, could he do better? Of course he could, but Spaceman, in the preseason, my bust list, Willy Adames was front and center, and he is proving me right because last year was a career year. The steals aren't coming back because he's on a team. He went from the team in Milwaukee that stole the most bases in the league to the Giants, which are, I think, now maybe still bottom 5. They're very least bottom 10. The Steelers aren't coming back. He's not even a fast runner anyways. The power in San Fran, it's not going to be there, so you can drop him.
All right, time to move on. How about awesomeness in a can with a picture of a goat? This trade right here, Josh Naylor for Matt Olson. I guess, which side do you want?
I'm going to prefer Naylor. They're both getting the RBIs. The difference is Naylor will definitely have a better batting average. Olson will hit a few more. So this might be a case where you look at your standings. It's kind of early, but still look at your roster. What do you need more? Do you need more help in just straight up homers, or would you rather have that batting average? But overall, I prefer Naylor.
All right, Naylor it is. And then Todd, what's up, Todd? He's been offered Cole Reagans, Charlie Condon for Jack Caglione, Dalton Rushing, and Jacob Mizorowski. Which side do you want here?
Is this interesting? See, Charlie Condon, is this a keeper or a dynasty league?
Yeah, I was gonna say, is this a dynasty league? It's gotta be a dynasty league, right?
Well, it's got to be, because half those guys haven't even debuted in the majors yet. So, assuming this is dynasty, again, not thinking about rounds and keepers and whatever, just straight up value, I would prefer the Caglione side because I think he's a possible instant impact stud. Condon, of course, top draft pick, but a little more questionable organization. His development hasn't been as fast. Yeah, I would prefer the CAG side.
All right. And then he also wants to know, again, I assume this is the dynasty team. I don't know. He wants to package Corbin Carroll and Josh Naylor looking for a first baseman. He's already got Judge and Acuna on his team.
Who could I package? Corbin Carroll? I mean,
sure, yeah, if you're packaging Corbin Carroll and Josh Naylor and for a first baseman, like, what is there even a first baseman worth those guys?
You should be getting a first baseman plus something, because
right?
Yeah, I'm not sure why you're trading Corbin Carroll. Look, if you have Josh Naylor, I think you're fine at first base. There really aren't that many first basemen, who are significantly better overall. Again, I'll say you could kind of try to buy low on Vlad. Guess that would be the only one. But even still, with Corbin Carroll, you better get something else. There's no individual player, first base or not, that worth that package. So look, I hate to say, I would just keep what you have.
Yeah, I mean, tough to upgrade at first base for those two guys. All right, President Raikou again. Thank you so much. Okay, so now remember he had his team, right? This was his pitching staff. So here's the other guys' pitching staff: Scott Fried, of course, Tyler McGill, Bailey Ober, Joe Ryan, Shane Smith, Michael Wacha, Clay Holmes, and Walker Buehler. What package can I get? So maybe if we don't go after Fried here, like, are any of these guys even worth going after?
Joe Ryan clearly worth getting, but I'm pretty sure that this dude knows that Joe Ryan is good. So look, this might be a nice time to try to buy into Clay Holmes. If you he really likes, what was that package? It was Yamamoto and Bubic for Fried and Holmes. I think that's fair. Again, this feels like you're just, trading the same thing for each other. I don't see how that helps either one of you. I wouldn't mind trading Rodon instead of Yamamoto because, sometimes he has injury history, right? There's that. Same thing with DeGrom. So you might just alleviate a little bit of the risk if you trade one of those guys. So if you want to do Bubic and one of those, like DeGrom or Rodon, I think that if you try to get Fried and Holmes, I think that's fair.
All right. And thank you again. Appreciate that. Like that you're being active, trying to make some deals, wheeling and dealing. All right. Welcome back, Cadzilla. He's got Cags and Kurtz. It's a 10-team keeper dynasty league. So shallow league. Can only keep one of these guys. Which one are you keeping?
Wow. You can only keep one. I mean, it's a 10-teamer. You don't have any old veterans you can drop. Kurtz is on the IL. You can stash him on the IL. I mean, obviously you can't because you're asking. So if it's a keeper league, I mean, I like them both. I think I would still keep Cags though if you really have to drop one of them.
All right. Tough there, but keep Cags. All right. Question mark. Needs some help. He can't even give Bobby Witt Jr. away. Is he really this bad, or does he turn it around? Which, by the way, let me just say, I was thinking about it. Like, thinking about the first round of fantasy drafts. Okay, Ohtani, Aaron Judge, they've been great. Then you have, like, Jose Ramirez, who's, I guess he's maybe starting to heat up, but he's just kind of been okay this year. Bobby Witt's just kind of been okay. Ellie De La Cruz has been hot and cold. Juan Soto has been terrible. Like all these first round picks have been terrible in fantasy baseball. Like, imagine in fantasy football if, like, there were only, like, 2 or 3 good first round picks. It'd be crazy. Fantasy baseball is such a weird game. But anyways, he can't give Bobby Witt Jr. away. Will he turn it around?
That's a good thing because I wouldn't want you to give Bobby Witt Jr. away. He hasn't been that bad. He's hitting like 280 something. He does have, I think, 20 steals. We tend to focus on those couple of categories, right? The home runs, because that's where it gets everyone's attention. And then we look at batting average, because of course that's supposed to be the best indicator of production. But if you play a typical category league, runs, RBIs, and of course steals, those count equally. He's still scoring a lot of runs and he's getting your RBIs. He'll be fine. So please don't give Bobby Witt away.
Don't give him away. And then we talked about this a little bit earlier. Papa Giorgio wants to know, you benching or dropping Soderstrom?
Yeah, you're not going to get that stick of gum, which is also, again, good for you that you don't. That stuff was brutal, right? In the baseball card packs, will tear up your mouth.
Oh yeah, you don't want the stick of gum. I would hold Soderstrom, and you can't do this deal. Even okay, awesomeness in a can. I don't even know what I'm doing when it comes to fantasy baseball, but I know you cannot send Corbin Carroll and Josh Naylor for Mookie Betts and Reese Olson. And there's no way you should also have to send Jazz Chisholm. No, don't
Nope.
do it. Don't do it.
But
Don't do it.
why are we wanting to trade away Corbin Carroll when he's like one of the best players in all of fantasy so far this year? Like he's had a great start. Like he's one of the few first round picks that has not been disappointing. He's been great.
Yeah.
No, like if you were giving Carroll and Naylor away to get Betts, Olson, and Jazz Chisholm, okay, then I might do that. But no, so don't do that. What was the other one? We had a different question.
No, that was it.
Oh, okay.
I mean, we had the drop Soderstrom for the stick of gum. Don't drop Soderstrom.
No, don't. I mean, look, if you're gonna pick up somebody of value, but don't drop just for the sake of dropping. I think Soderstrom will be fine.
All right, and then only hope. Let's do our weekly Aaron Nola question. He's on waivers. You picking him up?
Pick him up, stash him. You will not regret it.
All right. You're Earl, who I always mispronounce your name, I'm sure. What's up? Good to see you. What's your thoughts on Caleb Durbin? Is he worth a spot in the 12-teamer?
My thought, he's already on the list for this week's waiver wire video. He just drove in, I think, 3 runs. So, yeah, worth a spot in a 12-teamer. Go ahead and you can pick him up. I'm not playing you this week, so it's okay.
Yes. All right. What's up, Anthony? Saying just got his internet back up and running. What happened to your internet? It's 2025. What's going on? And saying, please stop owning most of the players try to add in the endgame league. That endgame league is tough this year.
Hey, I told you it was going to happen. What happened? And so I waited till Monday morning at like 10 a.m. and every pitcher I talked about, all gone. All of them.
And who got Ryan Nelson in his beautiful start this week?
Yeah, exactly.
All right. Well, he wants to know if we have not covered this, but do you think Noah Cameron stays up and keeps pitching well?
We didn't cover this already. Yeah, I like Noah Cameron, as you know. I think he stays up. You know, Reagan's will be back, of course, but and so will Lugo. But I think Noah Cameron, for the meanwhile, will stay up at least a couple more starts, hopefully longer. Because I mean, what has he done other than look really good, be effective every start? I mean, he deserves it. So, yeah, I think he's going to stay up unless he gets squeezed out of a spot because everyone comes back and healthy. Again, it's always possible, but I do think he'll keep pitching well.
All right. Are you ready for another Soto trade question? Martin wants to know, would you trade Soto for Mookie Betts? Straight up.
That's an interesting one. So Mookie Betts is right there, right? It's a first round guy. You know, we know Mookie Betts. He's been good, but not amazing this season. What's surprising, really surprising, is that with Mookie Betts, I mean, I know he's not going to steal nearly as many bases as he used to, but somehow Juan Soto actually has more steals than him, which is weird. I think I'm going to go with Soto rest of the season.
All right. Stick with Soto if that's who you have. All right. King Sloth, king of the sloths. What's up? What's your outlook for Brenton Doyle rest of the season in a 12-teamer? Is he a hold or a sell?
I think he's a hold. Actually, I think he's kind of a buy low because people, you know, like you and I, again, rightfully so, you're looking to move him, or like he's disappointing. The Rockies are the worst team ever to exist. And like, okay, let's move this guy. But that, again, is selling at lowest possible value. I think he's too talented. He'll turn it around. You got to remember, he missed some time earlier this season. I think he'll get better. So if you have him, I would probably hold because I don't think you're going to get a whole lot in return.
All right, he's a hold. And then Uwe 2K, Hayden Birdsong or Drew Rasmussen rest of the season. I don't know why he's asking if either is better for points. Maybe he's in a points and a categories league.
Yeah, I'm going to still go Rasmussen. I know he doesn't go super deep into games, but neither does Birdsong. So that, you know, offsets it. Yeah, Rasmussen has been solid. You know, some people gave up on him. He had a couple of not great starts, not even that bad. And then some people dropped him. He's come back. I like Rasmussen still.
All right. I like Rasmussen too. I picked him up. He's been pitching great. All right. Kyle wants to know, what do we do with Matt McClain at this point?
I wouldn't drop him. I know it's frustrating, but he's too talented. He'll get better. Like batting average will not be his strength. It will never be his strength, but he's going to get you home runs, get you steals. He'll score runs. He'll get you everything else. And it's not, well, okay, it is, but I don't think it'll wind up being like Luis Robert Jr. bad, where he's like hitting like 180. I mean, he's not much better, right? He's been like 190 something, but I think you just got to hold him.
All right, just got to hold and hope it gets better. Yeah, are we still holding out hope for Luis Robert Jr.? Or are we done with this guy by now? This is now this
pretty
like,
done.
It's coming up on a year and a half of being terrible. All right, Chandler Constantino. Are people like Will Warren, Cade Horton, Noah Cameron, are they worth keeping in a 12-man? They can hold 7 pitchers with 10 max using 3 on the bench. Just been streaming them, but they've been solid. So I'll say what I do. Okay, obviously you're the expert here, but I'll say what I do, Chandler, because when I stream a pitcher and they pitch well, I look and see who they're going to face next. And if it's a good matchup, I just keep them. I just keep them and say, I'm going to roll them out again next. Like, if you pick up Cade Horton this week and he pitched well, and the next week he gets the White Sox, I'm just going to hold Cade Horton and throw him out there again next week against the White Sox. But what's your take on this?
Yeah, exactly. You want to play it on a weekly basis with these rookies. Warren, I will say with this, he's steadily been trending up. I mean, not even trending, just he's kind of spiked, right? All of a sudden, it's like he figured it out. So I would keep Warren. I like Horton. I think they're all worth keeping right now. With Cameron, he doesn't have the strikeout stuff of the other two, but he's the one I feel best about in terms of having a floor. Feel pretty safe rolling him out there. So I those 3 pitchers specifically, I like all 3 of them for now. And there probably will be a time where Cameron, might get sent down, so you won't have to really worry about it.
All right, and then Caesar Beats saying Christian Walker seems to be heating up, home runs in 2 straight games. Do you believe he's going to turn it around?
To some extent, yes. I don't know that he'll wind up with numbers similar to last year, but he's worth rostering. He's still worth having. He's got that power, so I think he'll be serviceable, probably at least the rest of the way.
All right, and then Paul wants to know, speaking of Miguel Vargas, would you drop Ben Rice for him?
Yeah, again, I still like Rice. And Vargas is one of those players I'm going to go out on a limb and say he'll be really good and stay hot for another week or so, and then he'll start to slump again, and then you can drop Vargas for somebody else.
All right. And then Tristram, what's up, Tristram? Haven't seen you in a while. Hope you're doing well. Just dropping in to say cheers. Thank you for that. All right, where were we here? Okay, are you ready for another? Actually, let's do this one first. From Phoenix, saying he's looking to trade Coburn Burns for a bat. So who's like a good, what's a good, any position? So just who's a comparable bat for Corbin Burns?
All right. Well, for Corbin Burns, you can get something decent, not a superstar player, of course, but it should be something pretty good. Not, considering need or not knowing your roster or anything like that. I would not assume, people are like, oh, Bobby Witt has been really disappointing, or like, you're not going to get Bobby. You shouldn't be able to get Bobby Witt Jr. Could you get Juan Soto? Again, you shouldn't. I don't know what the Juan Soto owner in your league is thinking. I mean, maybe you could. But again, if you're going to try to fish for a star player, it has to be somebody who's kind of struggling. And again, Bobby Witt Jr. is not even really struggling, but I guess just not living up to expectations. So I think you could get a Jackson Churio, despite expectations for him. He hasn't been great lately, so I think that might be something you could do. So probably something around that range, like not top 10 type of hitter, but something maybe a peg below. I mean, if you want to take the chance, I don't think it's even that risky, but maybe you buy low on Yordan Alvarez because, he's hurt and people are disappointed in him. People who know ball and been playing this for a while, and then Jordan Alvarez, you're not necessarily trading him, but I think Corbin Burns is a fair return.
All right, you ready for another Juan Soto trade? He was offered Jackson Churio and Framber Valdez for Soto in a 10 teams categories league. What are you doing here? Taking that deal?
Ooh, interesting. To getting Churio and Valdez for Soto. I think that's a tough one. I think it's fair. I don't know if that's it's enough for Soto, but man, I don't know if I would do it. I don't know if staring at Churio and Valdez would be enough for Soto. I feel like if you could get a slightly better pitcher, and Valdez is solid, but oh man, it would be tough for me to give up Soto for that.
All right. And Dennis, what's up? Dennis wants to know, he stashed Sandy Alcantara. Is he early or delusional?
You're like me, both. Yeah. I'm gonna have to start unstashing Sandy. Maybe look, it just looks like he just doesn't have it anymore. I mean, honestly, I try to be optimistic, and I'm not completely giving up him for the whole season. But do you really have to keep him on your roster and hope that by July and August things get better? Yeah, I don't know. I think it's okay to drop.
All right, and then nobody's doing this right, but M wants to know, should he try sending William Contreras for Bobby Witt Jr.? I mean, that would be highway robbery, right?
You could try. I think I would at least throw in something else. I don't think you're going to get Bobby Witt Jr.
All right, and then speaking, you kind of answered this. Keith wants to know, Noah Cameron or Will Warren, I assume, rest of the season.
I'm going to go Warren. Not just the guaranteed roster spot, rotation spot, I should say. The K upside is higher. I mean, he's shown a lot the last couple. Riskier, but I'm going to go with the upside of Warren.
All right, Naftali Diaz, what's up? Says he's got Bubic, Pablo Lopez, Nick Pivetta, Drew Rasmussen, Casey Mize, Tariq Skubal. And now he's like, I already have the best pitcher in baseball. Let me try to get one of the other best pitchers in baseball. So he wants to put a package together for Zach Wheeler. What could he do here to get Zach Wheeler?
Hey, why not? It doesn't hurt to try. I mean, obviously, there's no reason to even think about Skubal here. I think Bubic is the one that you want to package. Look, I would try Bubic and Pivetta. That's what I would try. And if it doesn't work, then I would try Mize and Lopez.
All right, there you go. And then Phoenix wants to know, is 2023 Matt Olson dead?
I believe so. Hey, last year in my preseason bust pick, I had Matt Olson on there, and he was pretty busty. He definitely didn't come off his career year with another career year. That's what happens. You're right. The guy has a career year. Guess what? It can only get worse, and that means his draft value will be inflated. He's still going to hit home runs, but he's also going to be like old. Oakland A's Matt Olson. He's going to hit like 230, 240. He's not getting you 50 home runs. He might get close to 40, but even then, looking optimistic. Yeah, that ridiculous ceiling is gone.
All right, and then let's do a couple here together with Kyle Davis first. What's up with Jordan Westburg? Is he going to help Baltimore's offense, or is he going to sink along with them, and is he maybe a sell high? But this is a good segue into Tristram's question. Are there buy low targets on the Orioles right now? So is Jordan Westburg one of those buy lows?
I just bought Jordan Westburg myself in another league. I don't think he's a sell high. I mean, he's coming off of an extended injury after he struggled early in the season. So, yeah, Westburg's a buy low. Are there other buy low targets on the Orioles? I think the Orioles will get better, but I don't know if there's any players other than Adley Rutschman, who I've talked about quite a bit. I think he's a buy low. I don't think there's anybody else I'm really wanting to buy into in Baltimore. So just Rushman and Westberg. I still like Westberg a lot. I expect him to be good.
What about Jackson Hall? I guess he's not really a buy low, but his rostership is going up, and I've been happy that I picked him up. He's been playing.
He's been getting better.
All right. Uwe2K wants to know thoughts on Jacob Lopez and Logan Evans. Logan Evans, you said, hey, 2-star streamer this week. He had a nice start. How you feeling about these guys?
Yeah, I mean, that was better than I expected. I thought he might have a nice week, but yeah, he was great.
Okay, but here's the irony about Logan Evans. So you're complaining like, oh, I gotta wait till I can pick up these 2-star streamers. They're all gone. I picked up Logan Evans yesterday.
I know.
So you could have had him. You could have picked him up.
I could have. I know. I doubted
myself.
The
only reason I picked him up is because I originally moved Corey Seager off of IL thinking he was going to play yesterday. And then they said, nope, it's going to be one more day. So I put him back on IL. So I was like, all right, let me go pick up Logan Evans and see what he could do.
I know.
And I was very happy I did.
Should have done that. You know what that's about in that league? I literally have every Seattle Mariners pitcher, like all of them. I had Bryce Miller on IL. I had George Kirby just came off IL. I had Brian Wu, who I traded for. And I streamed last week, I streamed Emerson Hancock. I'm like, I can't just have every Mariners pitcher. Like, that's ridiculous.
Okay.
So that's what it was about. But I should have picked him up. I like Jacob Lopez. I just so happened I was watching part of that game when he pitched the other day. And I'm like, who's Jacob Lopez? You know, he's kind of got a sidearm, like 3/4 slot delivery, lefty. You know, he's not throwing it by hitters, but kind of that odd angle, and he's got good location. I mean, he was really effective, and he was against Philadelphia, I think, and he kept stifling them. Is he going to stick in the rotation is the question. I don't really know, but I like him. I think he's one of these kind of deep league. So sorry, UE2K, not your league. I think he's kind of a nice deep league option. So I'm on the fence about whether I can really endorse him as far as a waiver wire pickup. I just don't know how much of a ceiling there is for fantasy, but he definitely caught my eye. I'll give you that. But between the two, you're probably going to have to go Evans. If you ask me who I have more faith in long term right now, it's still Evans.
Well, actually, unfortunately, and Naftali is right. I just checked. They just sent him down to AAA. So there goes the 2 starts this week. That's annoying.
Yeah. And that's the thing with all these young pitchers. You never know. But that's why also with Lopez, I'm like, man, maybe I should look into this. But how long is he going to stick? Because there's no guarantees here. You know, what's annoying is it doesn't necessarily matter how well they perform. Look at Logan Henderson. What, 3 starts? Every start, really good. And they got to send him down anyways. You know what I mean? So it's always kind of a guessing game especially with pitchers, but with young players.
All right. And then Todd, saying, yes, it is the Dynasty League. Remember, he had that question about those very young players. So he wants to know, J.P. Crawford and Will Benson worth holding on to in Dynasty?
No. Look, Will Benson does this every once in a while. He'll have like a good couple of games where he hits home runs, steals some bases, and then he'll go 0 for 4, 0 for 4, 0 for 4, and then gets sent down. And that's exactly what's happening here. So Will Benson is one of those toolsy players that will never put it all together for a prolonged stretch. JP Crawford is fine, but you can probably do better in Dynasty.
All right. And then we're coming up a little over the hour. So let's end with this for Kyle. What outcomes do you expect out of these pitchers? Brandon Woodruff, Yuri Perez, you talked about those guys a little bit, and Bubba Chandler.
Woodruff, I expect kind of disappointment. Perez, I expect the unexpected. I don't know if he'll look dominant when he comes up again, or if he'll get hurt again, or if he'll be wild. You know, that's the one thing. And sure, his minor league rehab starts have gone well, but it's not the same, right? He's got to show that he doesn't walk batters. With Bubba, I mean, we just want to be optimistic and assume he's going to be dominant. And I still think he could be the best of this bunch this year, but nothing is guaranteed. So as far as who I would stash, if I had to pick one, I would go Bubba.
All right, and that's a good segue. I said one more, but into Durf Boy. Durf Boy is always here supporting us, dropping the super chat. So he's just saying he had a streaming spot for relievers in a save plus holds roto league. He used that spot to pick up Bubba Chandler. Worth it?
Definitely worth it. I mean, he's not going to get you saves and holds, hopefully, but definitely got the upside to help you.
All right, there we go, guys. Appreciate it. We're just over the hour mark here. Appreciate all the questions. Who was it? Kelsey earlier. If you have fantasy baseball related questions, we would be more than happy to answer those for you. We'll be back here on Sunday, of course, to talk two-star streamers and also get you ready for the week ahead. And don't forget, buy low dropped this morning, and we got waiver wire coming out Friday. And did you say a special video this week? We had a special video this week.
I think so. I'm going to try to squeeze an extra one in because, it's a time of season where guys who are on 60-day IL start out or early in the season are starting to become eligible, got a lot of rehabs. And I'm looking, there's just so many players who are injured, and you're like, what do? You can't stash them all. And do you prioritize somebody who is playing, but maybe doesn't have that upside? So I'm like, okay, you got room on your IL, lucky you. But if you do, here's some players you can stash, and I'm just going to talk about them quickly in order.
All right, so there you go. And of course, we'll be back here Sunday. Make sure you have notifications turned on so you know that when we go live. And again, don't forget, if you're like, hey, I want another way to play fantasy baseball, go to underdogfantasy.com, join using promo code Endgame, get those picks in and that bonus cash. All right, everybody. Thank you, and we will see you back here on Sunday.